welcome to Florida Focus, a college football podcast. My name is Brandon, and I'm a lifelong Florida State Seminole fan.
And I am Chris. I am a huge Gator fan.
Nice. We are putting aside our differences as rivals to bring you the fantastic world of college football throughout the Sunshine State. Chris, we're going to do spring game recaps today. How you feeling?
Oh, good. Spring game is one of those, like, you are excited, get pumped up, and once the game starts, you're like, oh yeah, this isn't real football. This isn't the real stuff, but it's still cool to, it's kind of like fool's gold, if you will.
Ooh.
It's still cool to experience it and just for that brief moment, but then afterwards, you're like, it's still so much longer than I wanted till real football, and that really wasn't a football game. It was more like glorified practice, but it was still cool. I would take it any day of the week as opposed to no football, so I'm happy.
Yes, and it's the NCAA says you can only get, I think it's 15 practices per off season, so this is one of them. It counts as one of those 15, and they just open it up to the public. They do it in the stadium and have some festivities to go along with. But no, I couldn't agree more. It is very exciting. That's why I asked you how you feel, because some people are like, I couldn't care less.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. I just love to sit down and watch it. My son likes to watch it now, and just I don't have to. I do have to wait, but it's just nice to have a little taste before the summer.
Yes. All right. So I'll let you go first. What were your impressions of Dan Mullen bringing out the Gators into the swamp? How'd that go?
Man, if you saw the score, did you see the score to this game?
I did. Yes, very high.
Did you happen to check it out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, what is it, 60-35, like almost 100 points scored, and a lot of things, like my brain's everywhere. A lot of things, positives. Felipe Franks looked pretty good. It looked like he's still going. Looked like we have a lot of weapons on the offense. And we're returning all of our receivers. We look like we got a deep running back core. We used a lot of the tight ends this game, which I was very critical over during the season last year. We didn't use our tight ends as much. Now we're looking like we have some tight ends that could cause some mismatches, which was real nice to see. And you could see our backup quarterbacks, the potential, especially Emory Jones. You see he's pretty good. He's good on his feet, and he can sling it too. And even the freshman Jones coming in, he can run pretty well. And even Trask did some good things at the quarterback spot. Looking real deep there. We're looking real deep at the running back. Looking to see Malik Jones coming back from injury, because we're going to need him to spell P. Ryan. Our receiving core, like I said, they're stacked. They look pretty good. And it was nice to see some young guys just for the first time on field. And defensively, though, it's just kind of, I don't know. I think corner is a strength of ours. But if this game is any indication of how we are in the safeties and linebackers, I'm a little worried. But I know that the defense wasn't really running anything exotic. They weren't really going full speed. So I couldn't really tell when they were throwing up the deep balls and quote-unquote breaking tackles. Like, was that because the guy didn't put 100% effort because it's a practice? Or I couldn't, you don't know. You just don't know if he was out of position, or just because, they didn't really run a great, defense. So it was real tough to tell. But I was a little hesitant about that. I didn't like seeing all that. But and I'm a little worried about our offensive line, because we have like one returning starter, our center. So good and bad. If you're going to have a returning starter, if you're only going to have one returning starter on an offensive line, it better be your center. But I don't like it's the only returning starter on a very critical position. So still a little worried about that, because anytime they did run a blitz or they did put pressure, the offensive line didn't really handle it well. So kind of worried about that. So that's kind of the takeaways on the field as far as the spectacle of it all. We were doing some fun things still. We had former players all around. I think they were saying about 180 former players were either in attendance or involved in some capacity that weekend, which is a lot, and I think it's really great for the program.
Sure, absolutely.
So 180 former players. We had Lito Shepard, one of our corners. He came in off the sideline and he intercepted. Again, you can't see this, but I'm doing air quotes, big time. Felipe Franks and took it back to the house because the receiver just kind of stood there. He threw it to him, and that was kind of fun. Fun to see. They had Chris Doring, former receiver for us. He was in the booth commentating.
Oh, nice.
And he's a color commentator, and I think it's kind of cool. And then, like, I think towards the end of the third quarter, you don't really hear him, and you just hear the play-by-play guy. And I'm thinking, okay, this is just some kind of mic malfunction, right? Just whatever. And then all of a sudden, I forgot who the quarterback was, but he throws a deep bomb to Chris Doring. He was on the field and he caught a touchdown pass. So that was kind of cool. I've never seen a commentator leave the booth to go play. So that was pretty fun. And of course, the guy, the play-by-play guys, he's like, you better not pull a hamstring on that celebration, talking to him. So that was kind of fun. They had the coaches, the honorary coaches of the game. I think they did this last year too. Were two boosters. I think they were boosters. Supporters. Pretty much, they paid a lot of money. So they threw him a bone. Like, hey, thanks for paying for a lot of stuff. Here's a bone. You can be an honorary coach. So that was kind of cool to see. And I just like how it was a relaxed atmosphere. And they were smart. We want to see points. We want to see offense. So I'm going to drop 95 on you. Yeah. Part of me is like the part of me that likes the X's and O's and how's this guy going to develop, and all this stuff is kind of frustrating because you don't look at this game for that. But the fan in me is like, oh, this is fun. Let's put up some points and let's throw some flea flickers and reverses. And I believe the last series of the game, our kicker McPherson was at quarterback. He lining up under center at quarterback. That was kind of fun. And let me tell you what. He better just stick to kicking.
Okay.
Because he cannot. Do not worry about us faking with him because he can't. But so I'm kind of going back and forth. The fan of me is like that's kind of fun. One thing that was interesting, they didn't do when they were doing kicks, no kickoffs, but they did punts and field goals and extra points. They didn't have anybody, no linemen, offensive or defensive line. It was just the holder.
Yeah, pretty common.
Snapper, kicker. But they did run a fake extra point. That was just kind of funny to see, with no one defending them. I was like, man, if we botched this, please don't botch this. But overall, it was fun. It was just fun to feel the excitement, and like I said, you start the game and it's like, yeah, here we go, line them up, hit them, and then it's a couple series into it, you realize, oh, this is not a real game. But I do like the potential. I do like, especially the young guys and the backups. I do like their development, especially like I said, Emory Jones and Malik Davis coming back from injury. Defense, I still don't know who we are on defense or what we are on defense. I'm still kind of confused. I know some people were injured, like you always do. You always have. I like our corners. Safeties are a bit of a concern. We've had some good, decent safeties last year, Stewart, Steiner, and they made some great plays, but sometimes they just got burnt. And I didn't really see anything that got me any more excited about their development in this game. But again, I really don't know. It didn't look like they were playing a great defense anyways. Looked like they were very vanilla on defense. There was a point in the third quarter, fourth quarter, where I think Todd Grantham kind of got annoyed and started blitzing and started sending people after the quarterback and putting pressure on him because they had already dropped so many points on him. That was kind of funny to see. But overall, it was fun time, fun afternoon. Just another day of college football is a good day. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's about what you'd expect. I think I've come to see from the boosters and from the alumni just playing in the actual game just how differently our schools approach how the spring game works. So my only thought on that was it's fine with spring, it doesn't count, do whatever you want. But the Knowles, the way that we approach it is there's a flag football game at halftime where all the old people just go out and play flag on like a 60-yard field, and that's where they just run loosey-goosey stuff, reverses.
That'd be fun to see. I like that idea.
Like,
that'd be really cool.
I don't know. It kind of helps preserve my image of them too. Like, Peter Warwick was there. If he's playing with guys now, I would be depressed. I'm like, oh my gosh, to see what he used to be and now what he is. But he's playing against other guys that are in their 50s. Okay, yeah, he's doing fine.
Yeah, exactly. You can hang with them. Mm-hmm. No, that's a cool idea.
Cool. Any last thoughts on the Gators? That sounds like a fun time there down in Gainesville.
Yeah, I want to see what you think about Florida State, but I'm assuming all the fans and the programs are like this because I saw some pictures from UCF. The players got to interact a lot with the fans.
Yep. You
saw at one point some players leaping into the end zone, the stands, and they were doing some kind of end zone celebrations. I think Duck Duck Goose was one of them. And afterwards, just interacting with the fans, giving them some stuff, signing things. I think that was kind of cool.
Nice
to see. Is that what Florida State did as well with their interaction with the fans?
Yeah. So
was there a time for that?
In like a more official way, I guess. One of the things that Willie Taggart is very adamant about is that after a game, I don't know if it's win or loss or both. I think it's a win for sure. He wants them to go over to the Marching Chiefs and sing the school song. So that kind of just lingered during the spring game where there's kind of a little more time near the end zone.
Okay.
Yep. So
yeah, Meyer did that with Florida, and we've been ever since.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which is good. Yeah. So after they sang their song, they kind of lingered and interacted with the fans. What you're saying?
Right. What ones were left? This one wasn't nearly as attended as last year's. I mean, you had the excitement of Taggart coming in, and I'll go ahead and dive into the thoughts here in a second. So it was probably maybe half the attendance of what we expected from about a year ago. I don't know if it was, MC Hammer was less of a draw than Vanilla Ice and Salt and Pepper. I'm sure that was irrelevant. But, actual attendance probably high 20,000, maybe around 30-ish at the most. Last year was probably double that.
Yeah. Right.
So
yeah, it's really tough to sell a practice to fans after a season where you don't go to a bowl. That's gonna be real hard to say. No, trust me, we are better. Come see, we're getting better.
Yep.
Yeah, that's tough to sell.
Because we're rebuilding an offense. You have a new O-line coach. You have a new offensive coordinator. You change a few positions everywhere else, and it's just a little more turnover early on in the regime than you would have liked, or felt comfortable with. So what that meant on the field, though, and here are some thoughts from the game, is we did get a lot of quarterback play in. It's clear Blackman's the guy. It's his job to lose, and, we've talked enough about all the quarterback drama, but we did see a lot of Jordan Travis, and he is the transfer from Louisville. Still awaiting that hardship waiver, so we don't know if he's eligible next year. He played nearly all of the first half, and he looked a lot better than I thought he would. You just haven't seen this guy play much because he sat on the bench all of his 1 year at Louisville, so you would have had to go back 2 years to look at high school tape. So he has some nice drives. We use the tight end a couple of times. That's something you mentioned with the Gators, and that's kind of nice when you want to keep the pace. And, a lot of those receivers streaking down the field, that kind of opens it up. A guy named McDonald had a nice catch, but then he fumbled it, so, they went for naught. Something Florida State fans are going to have to get used to this year is we have 2 players, last name Dent, D-E-N-T. We have a freshman named Akeem Dent, and this guy looks awesome right away. He's a freshman, and he's probably going to start this year. And then you have Akarius
Yeah, I
Dent.
heard a lot about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He impressed right away, and, he wants it, so good for him. You have your...
Not to steal your thunder, but...
Yeah.
But Florida has 2 David Reeses on defense.
Oh, yuck. No thanks.
2 David Reese. Yeah. One's David Reese, and one's David Reese the second.
Okay. Well, at least ours are on different sides of the ball, because Akeem Dent's secondary. Akarius Dent, who's named 84, is a wide receiver, so at least that helps a little bit.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some other key players, Cam Akers, a couple of touchdowns in the red zone. That's kind of nice to see the read. He was kind of bottled up on a lot of the drive, but the passing game kind of opened some things up. Passing game, I think they were just trying to air it out and show off as schools would do. Keyshawn Helton, he caught a long pass, and he actually scored a touchdown, but they called it back because of a penalty, so it ended up being like a red zone possession that they scored later on. Tamarian Terry shows the flashes of what he did all of last year, and DJ Matthews getting in on the action. No, we know his talent in wide receiver and kickoff returns, punts, but there was a pass way down the field. It was clearly like, oh, you can easily catch that with 2 hands, but let's just show off and do it with 1. So that was, it added a lot to the day.
He didn't drop it, did he?
No, he didn't drop it.
Good.
He was giving the fans what they paid for, right? Or what? It was free.
Right.
Oh no, it was an admission because it's like $10, but
$10.
that included the concert afterwards. So anyway, there were some good things out there. Of course, all the coaches are kind of on the field instructing. They were pretty persistent on some plays like the jet sweep and passing the ball. I mean, just a ton of passing. I think Blackman ended with, let me check the notes here, 415 yards and 3 touchdowns. And he only played for one side most of the game, but there was like a 2-minute drill at the end where Tiger was like, well, that's not really the team you were played for, but we're going to have you practice it anyway, kind of deal. So, yeah, all in all, it was very fun. You were talking about alumni, so Florida State had a good share. Tony Carter from the mid-2000s, he was in the house. Deion Sanders, he's been around quite a bit. He had some good point. Every time he talks, I stop whatever I'm doing and listen, of course. And he had some really good things.
It's prime time. You got to.
Exactly. A lot of good things to say about the culture. He was saying that he's now seeing a culture where the coaches actually feel like father figures. I don't think he was calling out previous coaches or anything, but he said that Taggart just has a better sense for that than maybe Jimbo did. Without naming names, I think that's what he was saying.
Okay, gotcha. Right.
Not too hard to piece that together. Derek Brooks was also there. He was talking about, hey, these guys look good on goal line, gap assignment, and, he's just always a good character. Peter Warwick, like I mentioned earlier, he was the quarterback at halftime of the flag football game. So it was good. It's always good to see those people. I mean, because for a long time we didn't have those kinds of figures around the program. So it's good to see him around. And then Charlie Ward, of course, my favorite Knoll of all time. Charlie Ward is currently a high school basketball coach at my old high school in Tallahassee, Florida High. So he lives in town still. Well, he didn't for a long time. He was like in Houston and he bounced around.
Oh, nice.
Doing other stuff. So he's very active. He was like the marshal at one of the parades. So he's very back and very engaged. I'm still not 100% sold on the Broyles hire. I'm not going to lie. Mostly because of the character and the culture we're trying to shape. If we win, what cost is it at? So I'm still kind of a wait and see with him. I'm on board with Higgins and with all the other coaches that he's kept. We brought back, I'm blanking, Ron Dugans, a wide receiver. He's our wide receiver coach. He played aside pure work in the '99 championship game. To see all of the strides we took on getting the timing down and wide receiver routes, that's awesome. So let's just see if it leads into victories.
So do you think that, could you see any improvement or what's the word I'm looking for? Any hope of progress going in the right direction, or is it just you can't tell with the spring game?
Yeah,
like overall.
I think we're on the right track. You can't do much worse than 5-7. I think just at least given the schedule itself, 7 wins is easily doable.
Okay.
There are going to be a lot of gimmies this year. Not saying that, but given that you've upgraded the offensive line probably as best you can in a year's time, brought a new coach, you actually have a question at wide receiver. Like, Tamari Terry is the guy, but who else?
Okay.
It's kind of be wide receiver by committee.
Okay.
You want to say Cam Akers is your
right.
guy, but you want to give another guy a chance because his season last year was subpar. And the quarterback situation just, if Blackman stays healthy, you're fine. If that is not the case, then you got a lot of question marks. So we did see not only Jordan Travis play. Hope I get this guy's name right, because he was like way down on the depth chart. Alex Alasami, and I was like, "Whoa, redshirt freshman. Okay, good for you." Hornibrook, who is our graduate transfer from Wisconsin, is not in school yet, so he didn't play. He hasn't actually come to Tallahassee yet.
Oh, okay.
How will that all work?
Do you think he will push Blackman, or do you think it's just Blackman's
I still think it's Blackman's to lose.
team?
Yeah, considering he's got already, a few months up on him to learn this new system, and Hornibrook's not here yet. And I just don't.
Yeah.
With Hornibrook, he's a left-handed quarterback, and he has as many touchdowns as interceptions. I just don't know that that's an upgrade. So
Yeah, it didn't seem like he fits that offense. I don't know. I don't.
he's probably a patch
Wisconsin
job
is
Band-Aid
bad.
kind of deal because we really just need him that bad. We just need a roster depth.
Right.
And
okay.
he may just fill that need. Yep. And a couple of stray thoughts here. I didn't have a lot of structure to mine either. My apologies, Chris. The defensive line looked good. The question is who takes Brian Burns' place. Marvin Wilson looks to be the guy. Kando, probably some good pressure up the middle. I like that. Another fun thing, I guess Taggart implemented, he said the winner of this game gets steak dinner tonight, and the loser has to eat Vienna sausages. So...
That's good stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, just kind of a fun thing for them to
stuff.
play for. And I don't know. I'd be too nice of a coach. I would just give them all a steak dinner
That's good stuff.
at the end. But
raises the stakes a little bit, if you will. Sorry, that's my dad joke for the night.
It took me a second. I like it.
I'm going to drop them into there. Okay, one a podcast.
All right.
So, real quick, I was wrong. McPherson was not at quarterback. Quarterback, where's number 19? Looks exactly like him. Jack Ruskell, not Russell. Jack Ruskell, freshman quarterback. I think he's like our 6th-string quarterback. Let's just pray we don't get to the 6th string.
Okay.
He didn't look good.
Gotcha.
He didn't look good at all. So bad. I thought he was a punter. So, he's probably better than me. I'm going to just throw it out there. But let's just say, let's pray we don't get to our 6th-string punter. Let's just. Actually, he's probably our 7th because Kadarius Toney will probably be in before him.
Somewhere in the mix. Wow. Okay. Well, you caught one of your errors, and I'm gonna contend one of your points. You said your O-line was only returning one starter at center, and that's the most important one you would want. I disagree. I think it has to be your left tackle. You don't want your quarterback getting hit from the blind side. That would be the one I would want. But
I think the center is the quarterback of the offensive line.
well, that's true. I mean, he handles the
I
snaps
understand.
and he has to call the audibles, but generally he's not getting a lot of contact off the ball. And
Touches the ball every play.
He does. You're right. But the left tackle actually engages, and I saw plenty of let's just let the left tackle do nothing last year, and DeAndre Francois get hit repeatedly. So maybe that's where I'm coming from.
Well, in your defense, they did make a movie called Blindside, and there was no movie called Snapper, so I'll give you that one. Or maybe there is about turtles. I'm not really sure. Maybe there's a documentary about there, or fish. But yeah. So point taken.
Well, I think that wraps up my thoughts of the Noles. To be honest, fans, we didn't have a whole lot for the other schools. As you know, about 80% of our time is Florida State, Florida. We did have a couple of straight thoughts, though. Chris, you read something about Miami you want to share?
Yeah, they're just the reports I was reading. I didn't see the game, but the transfer quarterback, was it Tate Martell? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yep.
Did not impress people as much as they thought he might. But I don't know if you can really read too much into it. With just a spring game and his first, action with the system, with the heat, from
Sure.
up in Ohio. So I just a lot of hype around him, and it kind of came out flat in that game. That's the only thing. But what are you gonna do though? You can't really read too much into a spring game, and a new coach. Just. But it's just something that kind of caught my attention a little bit.
Sure. I only really saw a couple of things, exactly what you said, so I no need to repeat it. And I think I saw somewhere they were advertising that the spring game is going to be on FM, AM radio. I'm not sure why you want to advertise that medium, but if you want to go ahead, Miami, that's all you.
Yeah.
It's probably more of a visual thing, like you want to tell them where to watch it, not listen, but...
Yeah. Miami's going to do Miami things, I guess.
Yeah, and you know me, I'll take my shot any way I can. So, yeah, I did actually go to the UCF Spring Game. I wasn't there the full time, but the offense looked good. I think the biggest thing that I noticed, Brandon Wimbush, the transfer from Notre Dame, is the exact same quarterback I thought he always was. He's a runner, not a passer. So, take that as you will. UCF has plenty of running quarterbacks. Darryl Mack Jr., who came in late in the season. He's a runner first and then a passer second. Now you have Brandon Wimbush, same exact story. Florida State wasn't even good that year, and the one half he played against us, he threw 2 interceptions in 65 minutes of play. It was pretty bad. So I don't know why they were even passing the ball against us. You could have just ran the clock out starting the second quarter. But, it just inept at passing. He'll have 15 the entire season, but he'll be pretty deadly with his legs. The quarterback that really impressed was Quadri Jones. He is a quarterback from Orlando. Yeah. Man, he could throw the deep ball like crazy. So, in my opinion, he's the best passer on the team. If you want a ball thrown deep, or you want to kind of spread out the secondary, bring him in. It's still Darryl Mack's job, I think. It's going to be an interesting race. Now, Quadri Jones is a redshirt sophomore, so he's got plenty of time left. That might factor in. But I really don't see UCF throwing the ball maybe more than 40% of the time this year because they won't need to. So that was my impression. Also, after the game is over, and they've done this before, they let all the fans go on the field. That's unique. I know that Florida State, Florida don't do that.
Yeah.
And not the whole team will be on the field, but a lot of players will try and sneak out of the locker room after the post-game speech and take pictures, sign posters, things of that sort. So got a chance to do that for about half an hour. That was nice.
Yeah. That's cool. That's real cool.
The only other school that I saw in South Florida, poor guys. I know long term that South Florida does want to build a stadium on their campus, and that may take some time. We all know it takes probably close to a decade to get funds and space and permits and stuff, but I'm pretty sure they hosted their spring game at a high school stadium. So it's pretty rough sledding. You can't even get Ray J on board for your spring game, and that's all I'll say. I'll leave it at that.
Not a good look.
Yep.
Not a good look at all. Cool. That's I think that's all I got. Anything else you got on spring games?
I don't know about do it. It's like as we've said many, many times, and I'll just say it one last time and leave it at that. It is fun to have something around this time of year to break up the off season. It's been December or January since we played. Well, November for the Knowles. Good job. And you want to have something to take you into August because this season we get an extra week, even though it's probably a bye week. It's still close to 8 months of no football. So thank you for this.
I'll tell you, if you go into it, just what's the phrase? It is what it is. Knowing it is what it is, you'll be fine. Totally fine. And it's fun though. If you go into just having fun, it's great. It's great. I like it.
Indeed. Well, that's our take on the spring game. For the other fans that have stories or what their impressions of spring games, Chris, how can they get in touch with us to let us know?
All right. Let's start off with FloridaFocusPodcast.com, Central Hub. Go there. Start there. You can find everything you need there. We also have links Facebook and YouTube, Florida Focus Podcast, Twitter at Florida Focus Pod. Please email us your thoughts on any spring games that you attended or saw at FloridaFocusPodcast@yahoo.com, Instagram FL Focus Pod, and of course our Patreon account.
Given all of those ways people can reach out to us, we have a lot of thanks to give for the people that responded to our recruiting question. If I were a 5-star recruit, I would want insert coach to recruit me.
Yeah.
So that's what our next episode is going to be. So thank you to all the fans that reached out to that. The next episode you can expect are all of your reactions to that question.
Yeah, looking forward to that. It's going to be a fun one. I was listening to them, and some are the exact same that I thought about. And there were some really interesting ones that at first I was like, I'm not on board. But as they were explaining, I'm like, okay, I'm sold. So that's going to be a fun episode for sure.
Absolutely. I love it. All right. So all the fans, thank you so much. We appreciate any feedback you want to send us, whether it's a review, whether it is an email, whether it's reaching out to us any way that you know how. We would very much appreciate that because we want to make the show better. And just saying, hey, you're doing a great job is always nice to hear, but it's not as constructive as we would like all the time. So please let us know your honest opinion. This is Brandon saying go Knowles.
Go Gators.